Hey comic fans, welcome to Comic Fix Part 2. And so in this little batch of reviews, I'm going to be doing and starting things off with Swamp Thing issue number 15. Now, on today, I read on, I think, Comic Book Resources that Scott Snyder's going to be leaving the series, and he had it all planned out, but he's going to be leaving it. I'm really sad to see it go. I don't know if they're going to be stopping the book once he's done, but I doubt it with how popular the series has become. So, in here we got Swamp Thing issue number 15, Rot World, The Green Kingdom Part 3. Now, Part 1 and Part 2 of Rot World for Swamp Thing has, in my opinion, been quite disappointing. I felt that Animal Man and Swamp Thing, the two books were hitting on the exact same themes, and it just felt like you didn't get really a difference between each book. So I didn't really see any reason to keep on buying both of them, but of course I do. So I go into this book expecting for these two books to be exactly the same. After I read both of them, I was like, wow, they feel a lot different. They feel like they're both going off different directions, but still going on the same goal, to get Arcane and get everything back into working order so they go back to regular time, I guess. So we start out the issue with William Arcane having control of a Starro and about to just eat Alec Holland and Dead Man. And I just love this. Starro basically goes and eats him, and it seems like it's the end for our heroes. But what does Alec Holland do, who is also known as Swamp Thing? He basically musters up enough of the green energy to basically just slice the thing in half. And I just love that. Dead Man's like, what the hell were we going to do? Everything's about to die. Or we're about to die, even though I'm already dead. And I just love this. You know, just everything just seems like it's going against him. But Alec Holland, he pulls something out of his ass and just defeats Starro. And I just love that. I mean, it's just like, holy cow, how powerful is Alec Holland? I mean, because you assume, because when he was closer to the green, Alec Holland was this huge guy. He just had all the power of the green, and the totems of the green basically told him, "Hey, stay here with us. You know, we could protect what we have, and you will be as powerful as ever, and nobody can stop us." But as further you go away from the green, the weaker you become. And he's lost how big he was. He's back to normal size. And just to see him pull that type of power out of his ass was just really cool to see. And you just can't stop but to start to root for him. I just love the way the artwork looks in this page. I mean, the artwork in this series has been fantastic from the get-go. And I just love the way that looks. And Dead Man just like, damn. And then they look up, and what do they see? There's another monster that's going to attack them. And just like, every single thing seems like it's just going against Swamp Thing and Dead Man. And what does Dead Man do? But he sacrifices himself. He knows if he ever goes and tries to possess anybody that's part of the rot, he will die. But what does he do? He sacrifices himself so that Alec Holland can go and continue on his mission to destroy Arcane. And then we get to look at what Abigail's up against and with her uncle, and it's so creepy though to see Arcane, just how skinny he is and just how bare bones he is, but he's so freaking evil. I would love to see Swamp Thing into a movie. I mean, just the way that this whole story that Scott Snyder's been telling, and I have heard rumors that not Quentin Tarantino, but the guy who did Hellboy is looking at putting Swamp Thing in almost like a Justice League Dark movie. And so I'm really stoked about that, especially if it ever comes to Intuition or comes to B. I would love to see it, because he's the guy, I forget his name, I can't remember right now, but he said, I want to do something with Swamp Thing. I want to do a Swamp Thing movie. And dude, if he does something like Hellboy, or if he does something that he did with Hellboy with Swamp Thing, dang, that'd be so cool. So And here we see Abigail just dealing with her uncle and find out what her uncle's been up to. Her uncle has basically made clones of her, and you just see in her face like, what the hell have you done to me? You're not a part of my family. It's just so creepy. It's like, what does Arcane want with Abigail's clones? What can Abigail's clones do? I'm just really interested to see where that's going to go. And then Abigail, in all her anger, she uses her powers, which Arcane thinks, okay, I've seen everything that she can do. I'm more stronger than her. But Abigail pulls something just like Alec Holland did, and basically beats her, basically kills Arcane. But of course, with Arcane, he can never die. So he tells his daughter, or he tells his niece, run. Once I come back, I'm going to kill you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So Abigail goes and destroys all the clones, because they were just in these little tubes as babies. And now she's on the run. And what we got here is Swamp Thing going to Gotham City. Now, what he finds in Gotham City is something that you just do not expect. I mean, with all the stuff he has been through and all the changes that has happened with Rot World, it's just, you see him go into the Batcave, and you just expect him to see the Bat, but what he sees instead is something that you just, something out of nightmares. And it's just such cool ideas that Scott Snyder's having with this series, that this issue right here has just made itself feel unique compared to Animal Man, and it feels like these two books are two separate books instead of the same books hitting on the same tones and going in the same direction. And I don't know where this series is going to go. Swamp Thing's trying his hardest to find Abigail, and Abigail just wants to be free of her uncle. And all these storylines, I think it's like a 5-issue story arc, is coming to a head, and I just cannot wait to see where it goes. This issue right here just revitalizes Rot World for me. It feels like that everything is against Alec Holland, and he is just pulling out all the punches to get to Abigail. Beautiful stuff. I liked the direction that they were going, and it was just so cool to see the sacrifice that Dead Man made in this issue. This was definitely one of the best issues in quite a while of Swamp Thing, and I'm going to be giving it a 4 out of 5. Really good stuff. I mean, the artwork from the writing to just the way that the panels are done, gorgeous stuff. Swamp Thing is definitely one of my favorite series, and once it's all done with Scott Snyder's run, hopefully DC does a big old volume of all the issues, and I am going to buy that and put it on my coffee table once I actually get one, and be like, people, read this and enjoy. Scott Snyder does some amazing things. And it was so cool, though, to hear the story behind Scott Snyder and Swamp Thing, where for the longest time, while Scott Snyder was coming up the ranks in DC Comics, he told Dan DiDio, I want to do a Swamp Thing. I have stories to tell, but it never came to be. They had the Brightest Day, and at the end of that, Swamp Thing came in, and he had no clue that Scott Snyder was going to write it, but it was just so cool to see Swamp Thing in there. And then the New 52 started, and it's been great ever since. Swamp Thing. Everyone, if you have not picked it up, go read the first volume. You can find it in your local comic book shop. And it's just some great read. So, 4 out of 5. So, my next issue I'm going to be reviewing is, of course, Animal Man, The Red Kingdom Part 3. So, with both Swamp Thing and Animal Man, I said, we're going in the same direction, hitting the same tones. Where now, Swamp Thing, he is alone, and he is trying to get to Abigail. And with Animal Man, he has a posse around him. He has characters around him that are helping him in his fight to go and take out Arcane. And it feels like that Animal Man's main mission is not to go get his family, but to go and just destroy the Rot. I mean, he knows his mission, and he has the help of Black Orchid to help him. He has Steel to help him. Just all these different characters to help him. Even Constantine's helping him, and I just love that dynamic between these guys. It definitely does feel like that Jeff Lemire is going off of his Justice League Dark book and just trying to get these characters more together. And I would love to see, at the end of the day, Animal Man become into the Justice League Dark book, because that's what it seems like Jeff Lemire is kind of working towards. So in here we see that Animal Man and his crew have been attacked by Gorilla Grodd, and I just love the artwork in here. I mean, just to see the gorillas and just to see the depiction that Steve Pugh has of this, it's just really cool to see. And then every single thing feels like it's lost, and that Gorilla Grodd and his crew are just going to destroy Animal Man. And who comes to the rescue but Frankenstein, Agent of Shade? And I just love that, because you don't know what's going to happen to Frankenstein. You do know from the series is that Frankenstein, he's already dead. But the way that he's constructed, he cannot become a part of the rot. So what has he done in this whole entire year since the rot world started? Well, he is now he's now able to do what the guy who created him did, where he's now able to make his own Frankenstein army. And it's just so cool. I mean, just to see Frankenstein coming in there with his own army of Frankenstein people, it's just really cool. And he is going to take the fight to the rot. And every single thing just feels like it's now going ahead, and the momentum is back on Animal Man's side. And then they decide, what are we going to do? And there's been one big question I've had in this whole rot world. Where is Superman? No one's ever talked about Superman. Superman is the most powerful being on the face of the earth. And then they talk about that no one knows what happened to him. He just disappeared one day. They haven't seen a body. They haven't seen him as one of the rot. So there's just that hope that he's there. And Frankenstein tells Animal Man and his crew that there is something that person that Arcane fears, who is imprisoned by Arcane in Metropolis. And they all think it's Superman. And so now their mission is to go and free this being that Arcane is just so afraid of, and take the fight to him. Now this makes me wonder whatever happened to the weapon that Frankenstein has been trying to put together in his own book. Because the interesting part is that Swamp Thing and Animal Man are taking place a year after the events of Rot World. And Frankenstein is taking place in the present, where Frankenstein's going after this weapon that will destroy Arcane. So I'm interested to see where that's going to go, and just the whole vibe of this book. It's just so action-packed. And then you jump into the present with Maxine, I think that's her name, and her and William Arcane. Basically, William Arcane saying, "Hey, I need your help. I know where your parents are, and I want to help, and I don't want to work for the rot anymore." And just you got the cat, who is a totem of the red, basically telling Maxine, don't trust him, don't trust him. But Maxine, she heard that her mom and her brother and her grandma are safe, so she can do whatever she can to get to them. Great stuff in this book. I'm really interested to see where this book's going to go. It's nice to see Animal Man bring himself around people, and it feels so different from Swamp Thing now, that it feels like its own book, and I'm interested to see where it's going to go. I love the writing, I love the artwork. Jeff Lemire has become one of my top writers in all of comics. I mean, anything he writes, I'll be reading. I am going to go pick up, I think he is doing that Image book. I cannot think of it off the top of my head right now. But he's doing this Image book, which I'm going to go pick up the volume once I have a little bit of extra money and go and read it. Manhattan Projects. Yeah, he's doing Manhattan Projects. I'm going to go pick that one up in big old volume. Hopefully it's $10. I know Image does that with a lot of their books, but I don't know. So hopefully, if you guys let me know if you guys know if it's one of those $10 Image books. So the next book is another Jeff Lemire book, and that's Justice League Dark, issue number 14. The first story arc of Jeff Lemire's book is done, and what has happened is that Negro and Faust are now going to prison, and Dr. Miss is going to be basically tortured and find out what he has told the enemies about Argus. And so now we got the Justice League crew wondering what happened to Zatanna and Tim Hunter. Now, what happened in the last issue is that Tim Hunter and Zatanna, they are going to go to the Book of Magic and figure out what's going on. And Dr. Miss and all the enemies are like, okay, now we can open up the books and figure out the ultimate magic. So what happened is that the Books of Magic basically teleported Zatanna and Tim to where we don't know. And so we just got Constantine and his crew trying to figure out where did they go. And so they call upon this guy who is big into technology, not into magic, and he is basically now working with Justice League Dark, and he's more focusing on the not the magic side, but on the scientific side. And just so cool, though, to see these two guys kind of working together to get to the same goal. And while all this is going on, we got Frankenstein, Black Orchid, and I don't remember her name, but she's part of the Amethyst book. They go into the House of Secrets without Constantine. Constantine's basically the owner of the House of Secrets, or the House of Mystery. And so they go into it, and you just get this fun little story where just all the craziness that happens in the House of Mysteries. And it was just so really cool stuff. But there was one point in there, out of all the craziness, that just has me most interested. If you guys haven't read the new book series 52, there was a point in there where you saw a clip or a billboard with all these clues onto what's going to happen in the future of the book. Well, you get the same kind of thing here, where you get all these little depictions about what Constantine knows about the Justice League, to Stormwatch, to everybody in the into the Justice League Dark. And it makes you wonder. I was reading this, I was just so intense on figuring out clues behind the whole entire series. This book just is amazing. I loved it. Jeff Lemire's doing an awesome job on it. And this book just felt like a book that was kind of in-betweener between story arcs. And you just Constantine just trying to figure out where to go next and trying to find Zatanna. And you got the other half of the crew going and just having a crazy adventure in the House of Mystery. It was a fun book, and I just cannot wait to see what Jeff Lemire's going to do next. This is definitely on top. I don't know what's better, his Animal Man series or Justice League Dark, because they're both just equally great. I mean, him and Scott Snyder, damn, they are bringing DC Comics up and making them say, we are the top dogs in DC Comics, in a comics general. Why don't you guys come and read my books? So, Justice League Dark, issue number 14, we'll get a 3.5 out of 5. Fun book. It just brought a smile to my face, and I love the last part of it with the whole clipboard, or the whole billboard with all the little secrets into what's going to happen in the future of Jeff Lemire's story arc. And I would love, as I said before, to see Animal Man come into the series after the whole Rot World's done. And the next book and the last book I'm going to be reviewing in this video is Jonah Hex, issue number 14. And one thing I noticed is that All-Star Western is kind of going a little bit... It's not as prevalent as it used to be. Now it's Jonah Hex, that is. So, in here, we get a cool story about the truth between the story about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And that in here, in this book, they explain that there was a first draft, and it was basically a true story about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And in here we get this true story about that, where this guy, he is Mr. Hyde, and he wants to kill him. he's an evil guy, but he's a guy that can think on his own and knows exactly what he's doing. He's just as smart as Dr. Hyde. Or Dr. Jekyll. And it's just so cool to see this little story and to see him transform back into Dr. Hyde. And it was just some really cool stuff. Really interesting stuff. And I was just like, wow. This makes me just... I cannot wait to see what's going to happen. And then we jump into the Jonah Hex part of it, where he has been told about this guy who is selling this elixir that's supposed to heal everybody, but it's doing some harm to everybody, and it's basically making him into this crazy smiling psycho. And it does remind you of the Joker serum that Joker has. And there was been one thing that I've really has kind of made me not like the series as much, is that through the last couple issues, there have been a lot of tie-ins to the Joker and Jonah Hex, where you had a clown that was really just sinister, but it had a very unfulfilling ending. And then you have now the serum that turns everyone into a big old grin that's making him a psychopath. I mean, there's a lot of tie-ins to the Joker in here, and maybe one day they'll say this is where the Joker serum really came into. And then we jump into the parts with this mysterious character that we met last issue, where she's looking for her mother. And when her scenes come into the book, it is so freaking badass. I just love the way that I know she has like her cleavage coming out, but just the way that she just kicks so much ass in this book, and she just feels like such a strong character, almost like an Elektra type of character for the DC Comics. And you find out the name of her self is the Barbary Ghost, and just really cool stuff. There's one thing I really like about this series, is that when the action scenes happen, there's not a lot of dialogue that happen, and it's just the artwork works so well in these scenes. And then you got Jonah Hex basically coming to the rescue to these guys, or to her again, like he did in issue number 13. And then we jump into just some more Jekyll and Mr. Hyde stuff. This book is really cool. It has some really cool story elements, and it just makes you just have a fun time. I mean, yes, there are some parts in there where you're just looking and you're just like, yes, this does remind me of the Joker, and I know the Joker has a big old part in what's going on in DC Comics, but I don't want to see him in or his themes seen in Jonah Hex. I want to see something original. This book kind of feels like it's not original whatsoever, but I'm still enjoying it. I'm enjoying the characters. Jonah Hex does not feel like the Jonah Hex that I remember in the old DC, in the old DCU. But this this Jonah Hex is cool, and now I got some guy doing some work down there, and I'm gonna actually stop the video right here. I'm gonna give Jonah Hex, actually All-Star Comics Jonah Hex, a 3 out of 5. Fun book. I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed the backup quite a bit. It's the one with the black, what is his name? Tomahawk. So his storyline was cool. Jimmy Palmine and Justin Gray are doing a pretty good job, but I just want to see them get away from the Joker part of the story. So 3 out of 5. So that's it for this video. In my next video, I'm going to be doing my last 4 comics for DC Comics, and that will be Aquaman, The Flash, Teen Titans, and Earth 2. So, sit back, and I cannot wait to talk more comics with you guys next time. This is Dave from the Comic Fix Scene. I'll see you guys next time.